Hello everyone, this is Quentin, and pleasure to present my project with Vertex to you guys today. Vertex is a biotechnology company located in Cambridge, MA. It's a great company focusing on scientific innovation to create transformative medicines for people with serious and life-threatening disease. Now, Vertex provides us its audit dataset for the course 680 in Northeastern University to let us find out whether there is anything we can do to help them reduce costs or increase benefits. I use R to analyze this project. Here I'm gonna go through my analysis process and let you know my logic behind my analysis and give my conclusion in the end. Let's start. The first part, libraries. It contains necessary packages needed for analysis and the functions I wrote for the project. Okay, the first thing, we need to load our data. There are two sheets, which are GXP audits and 6QA audits. We have to load them separately because we're gonna analyze them separately. After that, we have to do our data cleaning. The first error I found is that the date data will be incorrectly read as nonsense new numbers rather than dates. So we have to fix this first. And then I delete black columns and rows. And next, I redefine the variables which are not correctly classified. For example, here for the audit status with complete with capital C and the lowercase complete, they are classified as two different audit status, but actually they are the same. So we have to fix this type of errors for all other columns, the whole parts. After that, we take our overview of our data. As we can see, there are 396 variables in GXP data and 110 in CSQA. And the data type for all columns are characters. There is no numeric columns. This brings up two bad news for the project. The first is that data amount is small, thus the accuracy and the capability of the project will be very limited. The second is that having no numeric columns related to income, revenue, tax, cost, etc. means the overall goal for reducing costs or increasing benefits cannot be achieved directly with convincing evidence. For example, we can make many assumptions by that doing several plans may be helpful in achieving our goal, but we cannot prove that using revenue-related numbers. The next step is check our data usability. Here I define usability as how many non-null variables can we use. I define that bad usability with more than 50% missing value, normal 20 to 50%, and good if the columns having less than 20% missing value. Now let's take a look. As we can see, there are very few data have good data usability. Most of them are bad. This is a very bad news for us because we cannot use all of our data to analyze and give an accurate result, because analyzing the columns with bad usability is meaningless. Why I say analyzing bad usability columns are meaningless is that analysis results from bad data can be very inaccurate and even wrong. For example, if in reality there are 100 people, 70 of them are men and 30 of them are women. Now I have a data of them with size 40, and in my data 25 of them are women and 15 of them are men. Now I may give a conclusion based on my data that in this group women have more people than men, but actually this result is contradicted to the reality. So I'm gonna only analyze the columns with good usability, and the 6QA have the kind of the same situation as the GXP audit. Okay, let's get to our analysis part. First, I analyze the audit status versus destination, which means the audits is in US or out of US. Here, as we can see, the amount of audits in US or out of US kind of similar, and most of audits have the status with complete. What we can get from this graph is that the completion rate is about 33%, and the cancellation rate is about 18%, and the progressing rate is about 20%. The not in scope rate is about 18%, and the pending rate is about 6%. For CSQA audits, as we can see, most of it are completed or cancelled. The cancelled audits are even more than complete audits. And what we can get from that is that the completion rate is about 30%, the cancellation rate is about 40%, the progression rate is about 7%, and the not in scope rate is 15%, and the pending rate is 5.5%. We can infer the risk of the audits to be cancelled, complete, or in progress by using those percentage, but we cannot use them directly because, for example, the CSQA audits, we can see the audits in US are more than audits out of US, so we cannot directly use this percentage, like to say that if the audits is in US, it has more chance to be cancelled. Because to solve this problem, we have to weight them by using the amount of the audits. Here we divide our result by the proportion of the nation. After doing that, we can get our result for GXP audits in USA. Basically, it has kind of the same chance to be complete as the audit out of US, but in US, it have higher risk to be cancelled or pending. So I may say the audits for GXP audits out of US audits maybe more profitable. But as I said before, there is no revenue related numbers to show that, so I can only assume that. If there is a data related to the, for example, the revenue, the money the company lose for the audit to be cancelled, we can calculate that and give a more accurate result. So for the CSQA audits, we can say the rate to be completed is kind of the same, but the US audits have much higher risk to be not in scope. Yeah, the audits out of US. So I may say the in USA audits may be better for the out of US audits for CSQA audits. So next part, we analyze the audit status versus audit types. Here we have the types, the qualification, requalification, and both. And we see this graph. As we can see, there are, for the audit types, there are more NA values than the nation values. So for this part, the result cannot be as accurate as the relationship between audit status versus nations. We do the same thing, weight our results by the number of audits and to see the risk of our audits to be complete or cancelled or not in scope. Here's my finding. In requalification is most audit types we received, and qualification is kind of the half of the requalification. And actually there are about 20% of audits are NA. So if they are not NA, the proportion between the requalification and qualification might change. Here we have that the requalification audits kind of have the same rate to be completed with the qualification audits. So for the completion part, they are kind of the same, but the requalification audits have higher chance to be not in scope, but less chance to be cancelled. So they are somehow the same, but if there are, I mention again, if there are number related values, we can directly say which types of audits is better. Also, we find that although there are very few audit type is both, but all of them are complete. This is good news. Maybe I can infer that if the data types, the audit types are both, they are more profitable, so the company maybe prefer to complete this type of audits first. So for the CSQA audits, we got the result that requalification audits have a little bit less chance to be completed than the qualification audits, and has less chance to be cancelled. So also they have pros and cons. Here for the audits types internal, they are less than 5% of the data, so we don't analyze it. For the next part, I analyzed the audit status versus audit method. For this part, they are also measuring NAs in GXP audits. But for the two important angle for the complete and cancel, the NAs are not pretty much, so this information can still be very useful. And for the result, we find that the on-site audits have much higher chance to be completed than questionnaire audits. It's good news, and the on-site audits have much less chance to be cancelled. I think those two information give us on-site audits maybe much easier than the questionnaire audits. So I suggest company that you can receive more audits, on-site audits, but maybe focusing on improving the quality in doing the questionnaire or the ability to doing the questionnaire audits, because they have less chance to be completed. So for the CSQ audits, they are less NA than the GXP audits. And the result shows that the on-site audits have less chance to be cancelled and much higher chance to be completed, which is the same as the GXP audits. So for the final part, I analyzed the audit status versus GXP area. This graph shows that they are meeting GXP area, but most of them are GMP, blue, GLP, and GCP. Others only contains less than 5% of the audit. So we're gonna analyze those three to find out their relationships. This graph is more clear to see the proportion of the GXP area audits. Here, the result shows that the GMP audits have much less chance to be cancelled than GCP and GLP audits. And it's also have the higher chance to be completed than GCP, but less chance to be completed than GLP audits, which means that GLP audits have the most chance to be completed. But since the GLP audits kind of have the same pending rate as the GMP audits, but the GMP audits have less rate to be cancelled. So I would say GMP and GLP audits are kind of similar, but GCP audits kind of worse than those two. Next one, for the 6 QA audits, we can say the most of them are GIS and GLP, and others also contains less than 5% audits. So we're gonna analyze the relationship between GIS and GLP. The result shows that the GIS audits have less chance to be cancelled, but much higher chance to be completed. So I would say GIS audits are much better than GLP audits. So in conclusion, finally, the data contains many missing values. I think the first thing first, for the further data recording, I suggest the company to record our data with a more complete recording and do not have that too many missing value, because analyzing missing value is meaningless, as I said before. And here we lack the values related columns, like I said, the revenue related numbers. They are pretty helpful in solving our targets, like the reducing costs or increasing benefits. And third, we lack of the descriptive document, which indicates which columns means what. This can be really easy for the company to build this document, but pretty hard for the data scientists to find out their relationship, because they cannot have the as much knowledge as the company employees right? So next, in kind of showing the which types of audits are better, but as I said before, there's no revenue related numbers, so this result is kind of without the number improvement. If there is a number, this result can be very useful. So that's it. Thank you for your listening.